All right, so Julia, I mean, people may know what you're doing now. They may not know. That's okay. We're gonna tell them. They're gonna get introduced. They're gonna love you. But take us back before Julia of 2022. What were you doing? What does your career and journey and story look like?
Oh man. So I have a really interesting story that led me into real estate. I actually married an entrepreneur at heart. I don't know that I would have been. I don't know that I'll give him the credit because I was a learned controller. And so I was a Julia who was in the box, do what people tell you, do it the way that they tell you to do it, make sure it's done the right way. And so when my husband came home at that time, we were just dating, end of 2007, going into 2008, not only did he tell me that he wanted to marry me, he told me that he quit his job and we were jumping into real estate investing. And if you remember 2007 into 2008, that was the
Good
quote
time.
unquote worst time to be getting in real estate. Right. But for us at the time, I was almost 21 years old. I was too stupid to know anything different. We were already broke. So at some level, you're like, why not?
It's the perfect time to do it.
The
There's
perfect
no
time.
downside risk whatsoever.
No risk, no risk. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'll follow you. And so that step into a huge transition in our lives really was an incredible time. We decided to specialize in short sales. And of course, we hit the market spot on. So in a matter of 2 years, we had bought and sold millions of dollars worth of real estate. We were managing 60 to 70 short sale files at any given time. Really in our opinion, we were printing money at that time. But the problem was we were spending more than we were making, right? And all of us know that as a business, that doesn't really work for very long. And
Not
so
sustainable.
here we grew this company. We had an awesome team. We were doing tons of deals. And 3 years later, we were living in my mom's basement, $100,000 in debt.
Wow. Just in a 3-year period.
In a 3 year. So we hit the highest of high. I mean, truly making more money than most people make a year each month, doing amazing, doing incredible. I mean, we were on radio shows and TV shows. And I mean, our company was kind of the go-to real estate company of helping people in short sales. And yeah, there we were 3 years later, $100,000 in debt, living in my mom's basement. And
Okay,
that
so
was not sexy for my husband. Let's be honest. That was not glamorous.
well, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a hard crash. There's a lot of psychological things that go into that, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, then so this was from 21 to 24 years old ish.
Mhm. Correct.
That alone is pretty crazy. I mean, you guys have very limited life experience, very limited career experience. I mean, what did you learn during that time? Start with the run up, the success aspect. How did you guys manage that, if you remember? And then flip it. What did you learn psychologically during the lowest of lows?
So great. And actually those answers will segue me into what I did next. But what built our career so quickly was systems and processes. We started to grow so fast. And actually the number one reason that businesses fail is because they grow too fast. And so we knew at the time there was three of us as partners, and we had an incredible partnership. I was the sales and marketing. My husband was all negotiations, and we had a partner that was all systems and processes. And that combo was incredible because all of us got to run in our lane exceptionally well. That was number one notice of if you're going to really run a sustainable business, yes, sometimes starting out, you have to do it all. You're the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. But that partnership where all of us could own our own lanes was incredible. And then the fact that we built systems and processes to do what we could do, right? We never fell into this, I'm the only one who can do it well. We knew that we had to have systems, people, processes that could outlive us. And so we started to build processes that could work without us, and we started to hire. So we actually created things that were duplicatable. Again, I was too stupid to know. I didn't have the emotion that a lot of us do, 10, 20, 30 years into our career of I'm the only one that can do it and nobody can do it as good as I. And we didn't have any of that bias. So that felt easier the first time around. I think what didn't help with the sustainability, which is what led me into my next stage, was the mindset. I knew how to make money. I didn't know how to keep money, right? All of us know it's one thing to make money. It's another to keep. It's one thing to get free. It's another to stay free, right? If you're an addict, you know how true that is, right? It's one thing to get married. It's another to stay married, And
Yep.
so at that point we were like, wow, there's more to making money than just making money. And we need a total mindset overhaul to be able to do this well again. And that's what led me to my next stage.
Very, very interesting. I mean, one of the things that you said that just resonated with me is just like the ability to own your own lane and not be so emotionally attached to like those things that maybe you don't do well. And I think if there's one thing, right, when I'm dealing with hundreds of agents, I say a mega agent's business will grow in direct proportion to their relationship with control. And I say like our job as coaches or consultants or, you know, team leads, whatever, it's to pry out of our agents' hands and to challenge that belief that they do everything better than everyone else.
So good. So good. And here's the issue. This is what you start bumping up against, right? You start bumping up against trust issues and ego issues, right? So again, I always say it's always the thing under the thing. It's never the thing that we think it is. It's never the economy. It's never our dad's fault. It's never it's never the industry's fault. Like it is always the thing under the thing. And a lot of times the reason that I'm holding on to control is either A, it served me because it protected me for a really long time. B, it's the only thing I can trust. A lot of times we control because I can't trust. And so it's actually a trust issue. It's not a control issue, right? Or three, it's an ego thing, right? Which just means I'm either scared of my strengths or I'm scared of my weaknesses. And that doesn't make you crazy. It makes you human. But when we can really start to unpack what the thing under the thing is and not just try to quote unquote fix our control issues, but fix the reason that's causing the control issues, that's where we start to find the freedom.
That's really good. So what did you do next? I mean, you're in the basement.
I'm in the basement.
That's where all good light bulb moments happen, either that or in the bathtub. So what did you guys do next?
So good. So my husband decided at that point, I was like, I'm not passionate about real estate, but I'm passionate about this game, right? Like, what is the mindset game? So my husband went one way. He got back into real estate, just a different sector. And I started doing business coaching because I was like, well, maybe I can teach people about my epic failures and some of my successes along the way, right? So I started to kind of put those pieces together and I joined a group and started to build truly some of the fastest growing mastermind groups in Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
And the mastermind groups were geared towards business owners who got into business but didn't know that they had to run the business. You know, these are the people, most majority were tons in real estate, right? Here, I'm a real estate agent. I love people, I love money, and I love houses. Oh, but I have a business, you know, like I have to know my numbers and I need to hire and I need to fire and I need process maps, right? And a lot of practitioners. So you're talking about people who are dentists or chiropractors or even graphic designers and people who love their craft. They love people, but they don't realize that in order to really scale this, I need to build a business. So we would teach on process mapping, strategic planning, knowing your numbers, hiring, firing, vision, all of those things. And it was awesome, right? And week in and week out, we would teach them exactly what they needed to build a business. Here is where it got good, David. This is what's led me to where I am now. Year after year after year after year, I would watch adults come in and they would not use the tools that we would give them, right? So they would have a complaint. I'm not making enough money, or I'm not growing fast enough, or I don't know my systems, or I don't. And we would walk them through the 1, 2, 3 step guides, the how-tos, and they still wouldn't use it. It's almost like the more I Google, the less I know. You know what I'm saying? Like we could Google anything, how to have better sex, how to make more money, how to start a new business, how to travel the country in an RV, like you name it. You could Google that and have so many answers. And yet the more we Google, the less we really know. And that gap was so fascinating to me. The gap between what I have and what I want. And that was more to me than just information, because information will only get you so far. And it was the idea of what transforms us to where our mind and our knowing connect, right? Where information and transformation actually partner. That's the piece that I was super fascinated. So after doing masterminds for 4 years, I jumped into what's now called growth coaching and writing the book and some actually putting pen to paper on what the gap is. And that's what we're driving towards now, is helping people ultimately bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be.
Well, let's talk about that, because I'm curious to know what you found in your study and, you know, your conversations with people. I mean, you work with a lot of top performing entrepreneurs. I know many of them, and these people perform at a super high level. And from the outside looking in, you might say, well, these people got it down. Like they understand that gap. They, sometimes when I heard you describe that, I think about like the difference between knowledge and wisdom, which I've always said knowledge is information, wisdom is information applied. And, but you're talking to these people and there's a deficiency or a challenge, or they need to get better at that. So like, as you started to dive into this, what did you find, Julia? And what is it that is contributing to that gap between what people know or have and what they want to have?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, how much time do we have again?
Oh, 8 minutes.
All day.
I
Can
don't
we
know.
sit with you for like all day? Okay. So this is the piece that I love. And this is ultimately why I wrote the book Dream, I Dare You. Most people would look at that book and go, oh, I have my dream, or I'm living the dream, or it is not what you think. And so the first process, and again, I would say that today, 10 years ago, I am living the dream that I had 10 years ago, but I didn't write the book because this is awesome. I wrote the book because it's really effing hard. It's really hard. And nobody was writing a book around how hard it was and how to do the hard well and how to pick the right kind of hard. And so that's really what this is about. But as I started to watch other people's lives and my own, I realized, the Mark Twain quote that says, it's not what you think you know that hurts you. It's not what you know that hurts you. It's what you think you know that just isn't so. And so part of this process is that before I can learn something new, I have to unlearn what I think is true that's not, which is belief systems. This is a narrative. This is the limiting beliefs that I didn't even know that I had, that I actually view life, love, money, God, relationships. I view all of it through a lens that I didn't even know I had. And it serves me until it doesn't. And so a lot of times, especially these high performers or people who aren't even high performers, or just simply go, I'm successful, but I'm not fulfilled, right? Tony Robbins says success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Ask me how I know. Like, that is really, really true, right? Because a lot of us have the quote unquote American dream. We have the house, we have the cars, we have the stuff, we have the 2.5 kids. And yet there's something on the inside of me that says, I don't know that I'm totally fulfilled. I don't know that I'm my fire. I don't know that I'm connected to my burn. I'm just going through the motions. And I don't know that this is sustainable. Got me to where I am. Glad to be successful, right? Like, anyone who doesn't have money would go, yeah, money would make me happier, until you have it. And you're like, well, not totally. So part of this is starting the unlearning process, which means I have to really identify what I believe to be true that isn't. And that's hard. That's a can of worms. That's deep work, right? And then I have to start leaning into, what am I running towards? What is my burn, right? What is my vision for my life and my world and my faith and my family and community? And those are big topics, David, at some point in time, right? Like, I got bills to pay and clients to call.
Right. And and so sometimes, I mean, oftentimes we might even like enter into this like wormhole and this state or this space, but then the overwhelming need to support the lifestyle that we thought would fulfill us keeps coming back, right? The 16th of the month rolls around, the first of the month rolls around all the time. And so it takes us out of this. I'm curious to know, like, this problem has always existed, right? From eternity past. And yet, have you seen, like, do you feel like we have kind of seen in our society, like maybe like a reawakening to this idea because of the burnout culture that has like been so prevalent over the last couple of years? Particularly, I'm talking in the real estate game.
Sure.
I just almost every conversation I have with real estate agents right now is around this idea of sustainable success and burnout. And so I'm just curious, like, have you seen a rise in this type of conversation over the last couple of years?
Here's what's hard. The idea that I remember, this is when we started in real estate, Travis and I bought a Prius. And then where did we see everywhere we went? What did we see?
Yeah, Priuses.
Priuses. So part of my answer to your question is, do I see it a lot now? Because I am truly, like, this is where we've committed as a family, as an individual, me and my husband, we have committed our lives to this journey. So do we see this more now because of that? I don't know. Here's what I would say about it. I think that, and being someone who is sober now for 17 months, right? My husband and I 17 months ago said no to alcohol. I always joke because I didn't drink a lot, I drank often, right? And so what I've learned in my journey, and as I watch other people, is that we are asking the world around us to give us something that it was never designed to give us. So I'm jonesing for more success, to have an area just to I just need to relax, I just need reprieve, I need someone to tell me I'm important, I need someone to tell me I'm valuable. And so what happens in this burnout is I'm actually asking the things around me to give me something that they were never designed to give me. So if I keep asking money and work to make me feel significant, I'm going to burn out, because guess what? It wasn't designed to do that. If I keep asking alcohol or food to give me an opportunity to kind of check out, guess what? I'm going to do that until I'm like still exhausted. Like it's not helping me. And so again, why I wrote this book and what I'm encouraging people, especially people in real estate right now, is you're actually building your life from the outside in, as opposed to recognizing that it begins from the inside out.
What do you mean by
that? What I mean is that when you start to do this type of work, it doesn't change the world around you. It changes the world within you. So I do the world around me well. We're heading into a year, I believe, that what we need more than ever before is a group of people who don't need the world to give them creativity, innovation, ideas, because they have it on the world within them. What our world is going to need is people who have the ideas, see the problem and aren't afraid to attack the problem head on, see the market changing and know how to ride the wave. We need people who know how to actually dig deeper on the inside to bring the solutions to the world around them on the outside. If we're wanting the world around us to create safety and security and stability in this next year, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. And so what we're talking about now is this next year is going to be a mindset game, not a skill set game.
So I want you to dive into that a little bit, especially in my world. We talk about mindset a lot, but it's interesting because I've also seen an increase of, we are now, a lot of pundits out there will say we are moving into a skills-based market now. And so what you just said actually kind of collides a little bit with what a lot of agents, investors, real estate business people are telling them, that, hey, go back to the basics, focus on the fundamentals. It is a skill based, so you should be scripting and role playing. And I'm not saying that you're telling people not to focus on that. Maybe you are. But like, what do you mean by like, this is a mindset game, not just a skill set game?
So I think where you would have to start is, right, I think especially in real estate or in life in general, we start to think that we're the only one whose child stays up all night long. I'm the only one who can't close a deal. I'm the only, we start to believe I'm the only one who's tried to hire someone and I'm never going to find someone that's going to fill the role. Like, it's really easy.
I've literally heard all three of those lines this week from agents in my office.
Yes. Okay.
I'm not even lying. I literally.
That's why I use them, because they tend to be the ones that people use all the time. I'm the only one. And then what happens is that puts us in survival mode. Now I'm in survival mode, right? So now even if I go back to the basics and the skill sets, I'm doing everything from survival. Have you ever gotten a phone call from someone, David, and you can tell they're in scarcity zone?
Yeah. Yep.
It's icky. It's like a used car salesman. And we've all been there. So we're not judging the person in that moment. We've all been there, but it's icky, and it's coming from scarcity and fear and worry and doubt. And I may even bridge my gap in fear and worry and doubt, but I'm going to be exhausted by the time I quote unquote get there. Right. So at this level, what we have to look at is we have to go, okay, someone else has had raised healthy babies and gone through the night, right? Someone else has hired and fired and hired and fired and not done this 100 times, but on the 101th time, they found the right person. Someone has built an incredible, successful career in recession. Who are they and how do they think? I didn't say how did they do. I said, what do they think? And the reason I want to know what they think is because as a man thinketh, so he is. However I think, it's going to drive my emotions. However I feel, it's going to drive my actions. And however I act, it's going to drive my results to only confirm my thoughts to be true. Meaning,
okay, all right. I'm interrupting. I hate interrupting my guests, but I'm going to interrupt because what you just said was so good. Like, I need you to do that. I need you to share that progression again.
Okay.
Can you do that?
This changed my life 5 years ago when I sat down with my therapist, because I'm an action girl. If I don't like my actions, I just change them. Behavior modification, right?
Yep.
It's like Maverick. Don't think, just do. This is the
Yeah.
story of my life. My husband will say to me all the time, Julia, did you think about that? And I'm always like, Travis, that makes me sound silly. And no, that's not efficient. Thinking is not efficient. So this is the thing that for me, I was such an action-oriented, skill-oriented girl, but at some level, it only took me so far. And I sat down with my therapist and I was like, don't give me couch therapy. Don't tell me what you think I need to hear. Like, if you don't give me something real time, this doesn't end well. Like, I don't know what to do. It's cognitive behavioral therapy, which basically says every thought I think creates an emotion. Every emotion I feel creates an action. Every action I take will create a result. Every result I have confirms the thought I think, good or bad. So check it out. There's not enough, right? Or I won't make money in this market, or my kid will never fall asleep. Name it, right? Put it up. Then I'm going to start to act stressed, anxious, worried, fearful, any of those. That's going to drive me to either hyperventilate and overachieve and list make the world to death, right? I'm going to be calling people psycho. I'm not actually connecting. I'm just like running through, or I do nothing and I isolate and I retreat and I systemize the business for the 19th time. And then my results are nobody likes me or picks up the phone because nobody wants to talk to me, right? Or I'm not producing any results, or I'm overeating or over drinking, which only confirms the thought. See, I told you there won't be enough. See, I told you I won't be successful. See, I told you the economy sucks, which then drives more anxiety. And all it does is it spins me into my own self-fulfilling prophecy because I want to be right.
Wow.
So
Wow.
my question is
You
for
just
people.
gave me therapy.
You're welcome. So my question always is, do I want to be right or do I want to be free?
Hmm. Do I want to be right or do I want to be free? That's super powerful. So, okay. So you've been doing this work and writing about it for a long time. I mean, if I'm sitting there and what you just said to me like resonates so well, you're talking to a lot of high D personality, similar probably to you. Like, I want to solve problems. I don't want to just talk about problems. I want to solve them.
Yes.
Like, how do I move forward? How do I grow? How do I, bring it back to the very first thing that you said? Like, how do I close that gap
Yeah.
between what I have now and what I want?
Okay. Well, that again is a really big can of worms. Good news is I'm coming up to Phoenix to see you and your whole team. And so we're going to start there. I'm actually
Exactly.
going to stay for a month. So maybe they can come get couch therapy and I will help them. We're going to stay for a month.
Awesome.
I've been trying to stalk you since the moment I met you. We're just going to come hang out with you
Just
is what.
hey, I have a guest room.
Well, we
Just
come
come
with
stay with
5
us.
children. You can't volunteer that with
And
5.
I have 4 children, so we're
Oh my
good. We're
gosh,
gonna
we would have so much fun.
4 adults, 9 kids. We're gonna
Party.
just kick it in our 2,800 square foot house.
So good. Okay, so there's 2 pieces to this. This is going to work 60% of the time when I'm about to share. The 40% is why I do what I do and why I wrote my book. Okay, so to the 60%, what I'm going to tell you is if we went back to the whole idea of it's a mindset game, not a skill set game. What that means then is I have to figure out where I want to be at the end of the year, not based upon the economy, but where I really want to be. And I mean it. Not I like the idea of it. I actually want to be there. Then I have to think about any successful person who's fulfilled and successful and has the fruit in their life that I want. I have to think, what would they think about this? Right? I actually have to consider a mindset that will serve my emotions and that will serve my behavior. That would be right. Well, I could live in a world where anything is possible. They would think that we live in a world of abundance and there's always enough. They would believe that money is a tool, right? You're kind of quote unquote guessing, or you're going to go ask them, or you're going to read one of their books, but you're going to figure out their mindset around whatever it is that you're doing. Then you're going to grab the one that feels the realest to you. And some are going to go, yeah, but Julia, sometimes that doesn't feel real to me. Sometimes I don't feel like abundance is everywhere. Sometimes I don't feel like that I'm enough. Well, then you're going to say, if I lived in a world of abundance, what would I do today? If I lived in a world where there was more than enough, if I lived in a world where money was just a tool, what would I do? And you're going to shut up, which most of us don't. You're going to sit there and you're going to go, okay, well, I would make those 10 calls. I would ask for help. I would join a mastermind group. Right? And you're going to write those things out and then you're going to do them. And you're going to act your way to a new way of thinking until your actions are in alignment with your thoughts and the thoughts are in alignment with the actions. And you're going to rinse and repeat. And you're going to remember that the hardest day is the day that you start. And the second is the day that you want to quit. But you're going to start and you're going to not stop. That's 60% of the time you'll move the needle. Now, 40% you're talking about beliefs. And this is the overhaul that I help people with. It's a lot. It's a can of worms. But 60%, it's going to move you forward. It's just understanding that what if my skill set and behavior could actually be a byproduct of a better mindset? Most people who are D personalities, we don't need another how-to. We need a better mindset based upon where we're going, not where we've always been. You give them a better mindset that they grab onto, their behavior will kick into, right, 10th gear. We'll be up and running, no problem.
That's really good. You basically just shared that, like, probably the number one problem is always somewhere in our own head, our mindset. Yeah. In that, like, I don't know what better to call it. Like, so I'm just going to use like feedback loop, like in that like reinforcing feedback loop that we're creating in our head. I'm curious, specifically in real estate, like, is there one thing that like you see over and over, like plants that seed of like limiting belief, like I can't succeed in this business, the market is not going to give me what I need, or does it just like vary because of family of origin and past trauma and all of that stuff?
All of that. I think it's all of it. Yeah. I mean, I think a long and short of it is it's all of that. And then I think what happens and what really gets me going with people is that then we just accommodate for our fears. We make it normal to feel anxious. We make it normal to let the market shape our business. We make it normal to think these thoughts. We normalize something that is not normal. And I've learned this a ton in even just some of my addiction. I don't want to say addiction recovery, because again, I wasn't this quote unquote alcoholic, right? I was a gray drinker. We normalize something that doesn't have to be normal. Then we kind of giggle about it. Oh, the market, and I'm a little bit nervous. Where is the agent that goes, this isn't normal. This is not who we are. I mean, that's truly when our kids start to get off rail, right? A lot of times people go, well, it's terrible threes. That's a parent who won't take responsibility. There is no such thing, right? So at some level, we need someone in the room to go, anxiety is not normal. Like these thoughts about the market said no one who's been successful in every market. That we're still human, right? Don't get me wrong. We all have our safety, security, stability needs. We have environmental things. We have trauma, right? But at some level, this is again why I do what I do, David, is if I don't break, I will never heal. If I don't face it, if I don't walk right through it, I can never actualize in my potential. But it starts with simply not normalizing the things that we say as an industry or as agents. Someone needs to say, hey, that's not who we are. I say this to my little boy. He could be acting out. That's not who you are. I'll say, Nixon, who are you? He'll say, I am love. Awesome. There's the thought. You are love. So if you're love, how do you feel? I feel happy. Totally. So what would happiness do? It would tell Malachi to stop throwing the ball at my head. Totally. So let's go do that. Hey, Malachi, stop throwing the ball at my head. Malachi's like, sorry, buddy. Boom. What did I just do? Didn't shout at Malachi for throwing the ball at his brother's head for the 1700th time. And I also didn't shame Nixon for his anger. I just reminded him who he was. So in theory, in 20 years, when that little boy gets angry again, he goes, this isn't who I am. I feel angry. I'm not my anger. I have thoughts that the market's shit, but maybe it's not. Okay, wait a minute. What is the truth? What do I want to feel? What do I want as a result? And what thought would give me that result? Well, Julia, that takes a lot of time. That's really hard. Well, then pick your heart. It's hard to be fit. It's hard to be fat. It's hard to be broke. It's hard to have money. Turns out it's hard to have no kids. It's really hard to have 5 kids. It's all hard. Pick your heart.
So you segued perfectly. You read my mind, which I mean, I'm learning that you do that because you use that phrase a lot. Like do the hard, pick your hard. When did that kind of become a mantra for you? Like at what point? Because I've heard you now over a couple, I mean, you and I met over a year ago, I think it was now. And like that consistently is a mantra in your life.
Yeah, I think, it started when I wrote the book. right? Again, I wrote the book in the corner of my room, telling nobody I wrote the book for all my own insecurities too, right? So I again am a picture of this process is hard. And every time you say yes to the next level, you have to go through the next level of hard. So I wrote it in the book without, again, I think really knowing how to absorb it. And it truly was in my journey. Once I got sober, the reason I was drinking was hiding. I could walk into a room and I could just curb the edge. I could curb my anger. I could curb my insecurity. I could curb whatever I needed to curb. And so when I finally decided I'm going to have to pick my hard, it got real. Because drinking is normal in our world. Christmas parties, it's Monday, it's Friday, it's 3:00 somewhere, it's the 1st, it's the 15th. We drink all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's super normal. I'm a mom, it's the end of the day, I just need to relax, right? All of this was normal. And so it got real for me when I finally decided, David, to make a decision based upon where I was going and not just what I wanted right now. Because what I want right now is to avoid. What I want right now is to have another glass of wine. What I want right now. So it got real for me the day that you decide, I don't want this anymore. And it served me and it got me to where I am, but I don't know that it's going to set me free. I don't know that it's going to put me on fire for the things of this world. I don't know that it's going to do that. And so now I'm going to have to pick my hard because nobody else really cares if I drink or not. I'm not a mean drunk. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares if I do or don't. I care. And I realized that I had been caring so much about the world around me that I had forgotten about my own give a damn. And it was the thing that helped me work through, pick my hard every single day. And so now it's about picking the right kind of hard, and it works. It works really well. It's simple, stupid, hard. It's simple, it's stupid, hard, but it works like a charm.
So Julia, who should read your book?
Every human on the planet.
That was a leading question, I guess.
I know. My operations director was over there going, yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to say. No, I think it's for the person who is sick and tired, right? At some level, Malcolm X says, if I don't hate it, I'll tolerate it. So it's for the person who's like, I hate good. I'm so ready for great. I'm done feeling successful and not fulfilled. Like I'm legit done. I'm over it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired. I'm lonely. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Because this book is going to require you to dig deep and lean in. So I think at some level, you have to want something so bad that you're willing to do whatever it takes. That's ultimately who the book is for. It's an intense read. I don't suggest reading it before bed. You won't fall asleep generally. And I tell people, read it slow. You're going to need to read it slow because it's designed to change your life. It's not a book designed to make you feel good. It's designed to help you be good.
Good stuff. So, the idea of this podcast is to talk to great thinkers, business people, people that are impacting the world like yourself. And I'm particularly interested in like why they went all in on their particular thing, right? And you've told us that a little bit, but now you've given many of your years now to spreading this message. And I'm just curious, like, why this message and like, why for, the foreseeable future? Is this like your life's calling? Like, why was it this?
I resisted it for a long time. I believe in God. And I wrestled with him for a really long time about writing this book because I also launched a book called Dream, I Dare You when COVID hit. And if you remember, the world was like, dream, what the hell? Like, no, that was not really the most like marketable book at the time. And so and it continues not to be, right? Like again, we're heading into a time where people are like safety, security, stability. And so it's the reason that I truly have given my life, my family's life, they're along this journey with me. I mean, all chips are on the table is at some level, you either believe it and you can't not do it or you don't. And David, I can't not do it. I feel like it's a calling. I feel like it's a responsibility. And I think that's when everything changes in life, in business, in marriage, in parenting is when you go, I'm actually attached to a call on my life. I can't not do this. Now, the brain doesn't always want to, it doesn't always make logical sense, right? To invest as much as we're investing in this message being heard logically, you're like, I don't know that this makes sense, but there's a piece that goes, I can't not do this. And what I really think we're going into is a year of the dream. I think that people, and when I say dreaming, what I mean is almost like the idea of innovation, where I create something from nothing. I look at the problems around me and I go, I think that there's solutions here. I look at what I don't have in my marriage, and then I go above that and go, well, but what's possible? I look at the fact that I have no money in my bank, but I believe that we live in a world of abundance. And so there's never not enough. It's changing hands, right? Like, I believe that we're actually going into a time where people have to have the actual mindset of being a dreamer to create something that they don't see with their physical eyes when the rest of the world doesn't see it, that they dig so deep within them and they can't not do it, that at some level, the world around them will believe it when they see it, because I believe it before they do.
I tell agents, I tell agents something very similar. When they're wrestling with a down quarter, they're sitting in my office and they're just like really down on themselves. I'll say, I believe in you. And sometimes that has to be good enough. Sometimes you have to borrow on someone else's belief in you. And so I really resonate with what you just shared there. Man, I'm excited that you're going to be spending some time with my crew. All of my podcast listeners, if you're not in the Arizona area, you need to fly in
For sure.
to hang with Julia and me and all of my agents. We could talk for a long time. We could have opened that can of worms. We could spend 7-8 parts doing that. And yet for right now, I want to transition us into the last segment of our show. It's 3, 2, 1, action. It's the same 3 questions I ask every guest. You're on the hot seat now. You ready for this?
I am.
All right. So question number 1 is, who has been most influential on your business and why?
Oh, man. I would say, truly, honestly, my husband, Travis Gentry. And it's because he continues, I am like rapid aim, fire, aim, ready, all the things. And he continues to help me understand what's most important. And he continues to drive me towards not doing all the things, because I love doing all the things. He keeps me focused on the one thing. And that's been incredible for me, especially as a big visionary. Yes, he loves my vision, but he helps me really focus on what's the one thing. He tells it to me straight.
It's pretty powerful to have a partner like that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. So question number 2, other than your own book, what book has been most influential on you and why?
The Bible. Actually, the Passion Translation of the Bible. I think, again, I've had to go on a journey of unlearning what I thought I know about God, so I could actually truly know who God is. That stuff is legit, right? There's a lot of facts out there, but we all know that facts aren't truth. And so it's just incredible to be able to lean on something that is true as true as true.
So good. Too legit. Too legit.
Too legit.
All right. So this is the third and final question. As this is the All In podcast. We challenge our listeners to not just take in information, but to actually go and take action on it. And so my question for you is, based on our conversation today, someone finds themselves, they're like, yeah, that gap is real. And something I'm not ready, like I am ready to change something. What would you say the first step for them to do is?
I think that they need to actually truly get clear on where they want to be, and not just the idea, not a Pinterest idea. Oh, I think I like the idea of, no, you can't not have that in your life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Get so clear on what it is, sit with it a couple of days, right? Pick your hard, make sure it's the one that you really want. Then you're going to work the org chart, right? If this is what I really want, what is the mindset that I have to have, right? The person who's already achieved it, what is the mindset that they have? What is my emotions going to feel like when I'm in alignment with that? And if I lived truly from that thought process, what are the 3 things that I would do every single day until I get that result? Not for the year, not for the decade, not till I feel bad, until I get the result I want. What are the 3 things that I can commit to doing day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out to get that result? And then don't stop.
So good. You have such a way of boiling it down to something that actually you can take action on. And I really appreciate that. Julia, like your fire always comes through. The passion always psychs me up, and I know it psychs other people up. They're going to want to connect with you. What is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you, to buy the book, all the things?
Yeah, we do have all the things on our website, which is thejuliagentry.com. If you want to jump in just for free right away, we have a Facebook group called Dream Together. If you're ready to actually do a mindset overhaul, we also have a mastermind group that goes over all of the things that we're talking about. It's a year-long curriculum. It's a mastermind group of 10 people in each group. And we actually focus on different topics every month that's going to help you bridge the gap. So depending on where you're at, you can find me on my website, join our Facebook group, or you can join the mastermind group, which again is all on the website too.
And that was thejuliagentry.com.
Yes, sir.
You know, that might be one of my hearts. I want to be the David Morse.
Do it. Can we just go, Daddy, and look right now and see if the David
we definitely could. Julia, this has been a ton of fun. I really appreciate you. Can't wait to hang out with you in Phoenix and Scottsdale in just a little bit. And guys, go buy Julia's book. Connect with her Facebook group, get into coaching with her, everything that she's involved with. Like I've told you, like I said in this episode, she is working with high performers who have personally told me she has changed their lives. And so everything that you've heard here is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Julia. So I appreciate you investing your valuable time with my audience, and I look forward to hanging out with you soon.